Good morning everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Zob's Wearables Tutorials. If you are new to our channel, please subscribe to our channel for more videos and hit the bell so that you get notified whenever we upload a new video. On today's tutorials, we will be working on how to cut a 6 pieces blouse without pattern. And the 6 pieces blouse is actually going to be an Ankara Patch blouse. Now I have my doll face satin, which I'll be using as the lining, and I'm working directly on the fabric, so I'm not using any pattern for this tutorial. The materials I have, we have our tape, we have our rulers, our pins, and our scissors, then our marking chalk, of course. Now looking at our fabric, you can see some lines already drawn. Now the first line here is the shoulder line. Then from the shoulder line, I measured 9 inches to my armhole line, then 10 inches to my bust point, that is my shoulder to my bust. My shoulder to my under bust, that is where my bra line stops, is 13.5 inches. Then I have 17.5 inches for my half length here. Then the length of my blouse is going to be 25 inches, and I added 1 inch for seam allowance. These are the horizontal lines you can see: bust point, under bust, half length, and full length. Then determining the amount of fabric I placed on foot, I used my bust span measurement, which is the vertical measurement you can see. My bust span measurement is 7 inches. Divided by 2, I have 3.5, and I added half inch, which I'm going to use to join the bustier. It's actually going to be a bustier blouse, bustier 6 pieces blouse. Then extra 3 inches for the flay allowance. Alright, so I use a total of 7 inches to fold my fabric. Now, like I said, it's going to be a bustier 6 pieces blouse without pattern. This is my under bust, and on my under bust, I'll be marking from my center of fold. You can see this part is the loose part, and this is the folded edge. So from my center of fold, I'll be marking 1.25 inch. 1/4 inch is 1.25. Looking at our tape, this is 1 inch. You count the first line, the second line, that is 1.25 inch. The next one is 1.5. The one after 1.5 is 1.75, then 2 inches. But I'll be working with 1.25 inch. Okay, I've marked my 1.25 inch on my under bust. Then on my waistline, I'm going to be marking just 1 inch on my waistline. You can also do 1.25, but I am using 1 inch. Then on my shoulder line, remember it's a 6 pieces blouse with shoulder. On my shoulder line, I have 4 inches as my bust span line here. So I'll measure 5 inches on my shoulder line. This will help me space out the darts on my shoulder line. You can actually use 4 inches also, but I prefer to use 5 inches. So I'll connect this 5 inches line to my bust point line. Okay, I'm going to take this again because I don't want the darts to be too close to each other. By the time I reduce my neckline, I don't have it too close to each other after shaping the blouse. That is why I had to extend this dart allowance by 1 on the shoulder line. It's a 6 pieces blouse, and it's going to come with shoulder. So I have 4 inches here, and on my shoulder line I have 5 inches. It is totally optional. You can use 4 inches if you want, but I am using 5 inches. Okay, now the next thing to do is to use our curve and give it the bust shape. Using my curve, just trying to make it visible. You can see this is the under bust. All right, then I'll use my straight ruler to connect this to the waistline. All right, now on the chest line, I am going to be opening the dart by 1 inch before and after. So 1 inch here before my 5 inches line, and then 1 inch after my 5 inches line. This other line is not necessary for now. I just need this. You know, this is without pattern. If you are making a 6 pieces blouse, that is where this will be necessary. So this other side is going to be cut out later. So I have my 1 inch. So if I had used same 4 inches I have here on my shoulder line, removing 1 now is going to make it 3, and I think that's really going to be too small, and it will make the dart come a bit close, and I don't want it that way. So that's the reason why I had to shift it by 5, so that by the time I take out my 1, I'll be having my 4 nipple to nipple line back. Okay, here is my 4 inches, which I'm going to connect also to my bust point. All right, now the next thing to do now is to add our flay allowance. It's a 6 pieces blouse. We are not working with pattern, so we are cutting directly on our fabric. Now from the underbust where I want the flay to start from, I already have my 3 inches here, the amount of flay I want. So 3 inches here, I'm going to connect it to my underbust line, sorry, my waistline. I will use the tip of the curved part of my curved ruler to make the edge blunt and not as sharp as it's looking. Even around the underbust area, if you can do without this, it's still okay. All right, I'll go ahead now and cut this first pattern out. All right, now the part we have now is the center panel of our blouse. So I'm going to pin it together. By the time I'm done cutting the other side, then I can spread it out for us to see. Now this is the center part of our panel, and we are going to be using it to cut out the sides of our blouse. Okay, I've pinned it together. All right, now we are going to be cutting the side pieces of our blouse. Now to determine the fabric I placed on fold for the side pieces, I had to measure 3 inches before I placed my center piece. Then the center piece was about 7 inches, then extra 3 inches for the other side flay. Now the total fabric I placed on fold was around 13 inches. Okay. Looking at the lines, we already know the line we can see here is our bust line, our under bust, and this is our waistline, under bust line, and 9 inches from our shoulder to our armhole line, which is this last line I am marking now. Now the next thing to do now is to measure the amount of fabric we have here from the bust line. Now we have 4 inches for our bust line. Now the 4 inches is supposed to be on this side. If you're making a normal bustier blouse, the center piece is supposed to be on the place of fold, but because we are making a 6 pieces blouse without pattern, cutting directly on our fabric, I am measuring what I have here, which is 4 inches, as you can see. So I am going to assume that this 4 inches is on this side, so I'll place it just right here, 4 inches. Then measure, do my normal measurements. The bust measurement I am working with is 37 inches divided by 4 is 9.25. Then I'll add extra 3 inches sewing allowance, so I should be having 12.25. all right, 12.25 for my bust line. Then on my under bust, I'll still go ahead and repeat the same thing. Here I have 3 inches on my under bust, so assume that the 3 inches is on this side. Now I'll measure. My under bust is 33 inches divided by 4. You place it this way, divided by 4 plus 3. Okay, you place it this way, assuming that this part, the center piece, is also on this side. So 33 inches divided by 4 plus 3 is giving me 11.25. all right. Then on my waistline, my waist is same 33 inches divided by 4 plus 3 is also 11.25. So measuring my waistline, I have 3.25. So I will equally assume I have it on this side. So I'll measure my 3.25, place my tape this way, and complete my measurement. That is 11.25, which is here, 11.25. all right. All right, we had to make some adjustments. Okay, now I'm going to be connecting the lines. This is our 12.25. This is the under bust, 11.25, and the waistline also was 11.25. So from the waistline, I am going to be adding my flay allowance just from here, because this is a side piece. So from here, I'll measure 3 inches. 3 inches. I can take this line down also. 3 inches. Okay. Now I have my 3 inches. I'll go ahead and connect from the waist to my 3 inches. This is going to give me the side flay of our blouse. You can use a pin to secure this to prevent it from shifting while you are cutting. All right, then on this side also, I am going to be coming down by 3 inches from here. I already have my 3 inches. Then on the waistline also, I bring it down by 3 inches. Then I can go ahead and retrace this line for the other side of my bustier. Okay, looking at it, you can see we've not added our shoulder. Now coming to the shoulder lines, I'm going to be measuring what I have here, which is 4 inches. My shoulder is 16 divided by 2. I have 8 inches, then plus 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'll place my 4 inches this way, get my 8 inches, and I add my 1/2 inch seam allowance, then plus my 3 inches. I rather add it and have excess that I can trim out later than having just the 8.5. So I'm going to be adding the extra 3, and that's going to give me 11.5. So when you are done, you can trim it out. So from my shoulder to my armhole line is 9 inches. So I'm going to connect my shoulder line down to my 9 inches. Okay, I'll bring this other measurement up. Now I can go ahead and cut it out. This now is the side piece of our Fabostia 6 pieces blouse. Remember, we are making this without pattern. We are cutting it directly on our fabric. There is no armhole shape yet, so I'm just taking this off. So by the time I'm done shaping the armhole, I can trim it out. Right, so this is what we have got. The front panel, the front piece of our blouse is ready. I'm unpinning so that I can spread it out for us to see how it looks. Alright, but before I split, I would want to curve the edge a bit. I'll just raise it by 1 inch from the tip and make a slant. Just a little slant so that the tip will not be so pointed. Okay, I'll go ahead now and open. So this is the center piece, and these are the sides. Now looking at the blouse is looking a little bit shapeless and confusing because we do not have our neckline and our armhole yet. Some people prefer to join it after padding before cutting out the armhole, but I prefer to cut it before I start working. So I'm going to be cutting the neckline right now. Okay, I'm folding my fabric again. Remember, when we folded our fabric, we added 1/2 inch with which we are going to be using to join the fabric together from the nipple to nipple line. So that 1/2 inch, as I want to cut the neckline now, I'll be pinning my fabric by half an inch. Okay, you can see I'm using 1/2 inch to pin it so that I can get my shoulder measurement accurately, as if I am going to join it. This is my 1/2 inch. So I'm going ahead to measure my shoulder, assuming I have joined it. So my shoulder is 16 divided by 2. I have 8 inches. This is my 8 inches. Then I'll add 1/2 inch for my sleeve allowance. That is the joining of my sleeve. And remember, from my shoulder to the armhole, I have 9 inches. So I am going to be bringing this line down again. Right, then my bust, from what we have 12.25 inches. So here now I can mark my armhole. Okay, then the neckline I'll be using 5 inches. You can use 4, you can use 4.5, but I'll be using 5 inches by 6 inches, or 5 inches by 6 inches. The 5 inches is the wideness of the neck, then maybe 5.5 inches for the depth of the neck. I don't want it to be too low, so I'll equally use my curve to connect the lines. Okay, now I can cut it out. At my shoulder slope, I'm reducing the armhole line by 1 inch and connect it to my neck line. Okay, so this is what we have. We've cut out our neckline and our armhole. I'm going to spread it out so that we'll see how it looks. Alright, so if you want to join, you start joining from the down part to the top. That is after you must have padded it. This is how your 6 pieces blouse is going to look like. But remember, we said we are going to be making it an Ankara Patch blouse. So we have our front piece. Okay, if you've not yet subscribed to our channel, please hit the red button below and click on the notification bell to get notified when we upload a new video. Thank you for being with us. Please do not forget to watch the second part of the video on how the back is going to be cut. Thank you for being with us.